Hello, this is Reginald Rain. I'm a junior at Tarleton State University and I'm a major in business management. In Chapter 8, I chose to do the case of Thinking Critically 8.1. This case discussed Instagram and how the dangers in changing your terms of service can potentially affect your organization. It all started in April 2012. Facebook bought Instagram for $1 billion. Beforehand, Instagram had recently struggled on finding a business model that generated revenue for the company. In order to solve this, Facebook bought Instagram to solve the issue. They decided that bringing in a new business model would help change Instagram to generate funds for the company. Instagram decided that in order to do this, they must change their terms of service to sell users photos and information without any permission or compensation to the user. This led to many users suspending or even completely deleting their accounts in general. So, the first question I came across in my thinking critically was what prompted Instagram to change the terms of service agreement? Well, despite their loyal fan base, Instagram had a business model that hadn't been able to generate revenue. Due to this, there was no ability for Instagram to run, as a free app or a free service, and that Instagram must find a way to generate revenue in order to continue its life cycle. So, Facebook came in to change that business model. This change allowed Instagram to collect revenue by using its users' photos to sell to advertisers. The second question I came across was there an error of judgment on the company? If so, why? My answer would be yes. The language in the terms of services really was unclear. It left the user wondering what was the intention of Instagram, what was the purpose of the new change, and how is it related to their photos and information, and how can they possibly keep their photos and information private without having to pay for privacy. Well, in the Instagram's change of services, they they stated that to help us deliver interesting paid or sponsored content or promotions, you agree that a business or other entity may pay us to display your username, likeness, photos, and slash or actions you take in connection with paid or sponsored content or promotions without any compensation to you. Users did not agree. This gave the impression that Instagram was taking advantage of the users and profiting off them for personal advantage. This did not sit well, and this is what led to the suspension of personal accounts or even deletions of personal accounts. Many users, including celebrities, decided that this was the best route given the unknown intentions of Instagram due to the change in service terms. Question number 3. Was Instagram response to criticism due to change in terms of service appropriate, and why? Well, despite the response being rather quick, co-founder Kevin Systrom said it was a misunderstanding, that users were not interpreting the the terms in the way that it was intended to be. Users were told that it was a misinterpretation of Instagram's intentions, and that users just needed to understand that there needed to be revenue generated in order to continue the cycle of the service. Still, users wondered what were the true intentions. And Instagram was used as a major source of how changing terms of services can potentially affect your organization, especially due to customers not understanding the service terms or quite how certain things are being discussed around the customer, especially with no permission or compensation being given to the customer. So in the end, Users must understand that in order for the service to remain free, some form of revenue must be generated from the users. It is then up to the users to pay for the app or allow their content to be marketed. And this is the question that we still have. This is the ultimate issue that is still at hand. Customers need to understand that there are one or two ways you can go about a business, because in the end, Instagram is a business model. This is what they do. They're not here necessarily for the social media aspect, but more the business aspect. Their business is just so happen to be ran through social media. So due to this, customers must understand this is not a place where you just store your photos or show your photos off to certain individuals. There must be a form of marketing. There must be a form of sponsorship or some kind of advertisement where there's revenue being constantly generated through the service. And so it's ultimately up to the customers. What must you do in order to make money, but to still hold customers as your number one value? And this is the issue Instagram ran into. Without compensating their users, but also having a constant revenue coming in, there had to be an agreement somewhere. And this is why terms of service is very important. It is important that you read, even though they may be lengthy, they may be pages long. It is important that each customer, each user read each and every single terms of service. Every update, every time you log into an app, remember that your photos, your information, every piece of content that you give out and put on social media, all of it is being either marketed or it's being stored, depending on how you got the app, right? But just remember that everything that you do is constantly being put out there, and there must be a way to generate revenue, or else the service will soon run out, because without funding, nothing will ever last forever. So going back to the case all over again, Instagram really needed to work on their language, on how they really described their terms of service. Because if you tell users this is what we're doing, but use very uncommon terminology, it'll lead to certain cases like this. And this is why Instagram must understand that service terms are meant to hold the service to a certain degree of responsibility, but at the same time it must be user friendly. It must be user relatable, where the user may be able to understand how certain topics and certain things that are going on within the service are being used. Thank you.